It's cold today. I got a new invention. It's called Hot Nose.
Holy cow. I want to try.
Here you go.
Ooh, yeah. Cardinal coffee. It's another day and we're on the job. So far, we've tried to figure out how to be YouTubers today.
Yeah, dude, there's so much to do
there is.
Think, and it's a lot. It makes my brain blow up.
Ugh. Let's go build these stairs.
Yeah, let's do something with these stairs.
We're in our stairwell here, and I want to talk about the dimensions of our stairwell opening, like the rough framing. So for this particular one, we need to get up 9 feet high from our first floor to our second floor, and it's going to be U-shaped. We're going to go stairs to a landing, to another small set of stairs up to the top, and for that we needed 7 feet wide by 9 feet across, and that gives us the room we need to have those sets of stairs with a little 2x4 wall between them. And we're gonna start with the landing. And by the way, if you're wondering about codes, the maximum step height we can have here is 8 inches, and the minimum stair width is 36. So you can't frame at 36 though, because then when you add drywall to that, what does it become?
35.
And they will fail you, and I've seen that happen. So we've made this just a little oversized, which is always a good idea. What are you guys into this morning?
Some stupid crap called carpentry or something, build walls.
Our first task is to mark the center of the stairwell dividing wall that will run between the two stair runs. Next, we frame the landing that is just the middle step of the stairs. It's just attached to the back and side walls, but will also be somewhat supported by the stairs attached to it. One interesting framing detail here is that for floor joists like these that are less than 4 feet long, joist hangers are not required by code in this area. Think you cut that tight enough?
Okay.
What the world?
Get up. This is stuck right there. There it is. Back corner, back edge, coming out, going down.
Wow, that looked really hard.
I mean, we just have a way of making things look way easier than they are around here.
Now, are you lining those up above where the wall's gonna go?
Oh, that's probably a good idea. I was just bracing the floor a little bit. I mean, it's no big deal.
Something interesting about stairs is that there is a certain ratio of rise plus run that's generally comfortable and natural to walk up and down. That total combined number is about 17.5 inches, so if you have a 7.5 inch rise on a set of steps, a 10-inch run is pretty comfortable to walk. But if you only have a 3-inch rise, something like a 14.5 inch run would be more comfortable. There are also tons of building codes about stairs. Most of them have to do with making each step in a stair run uniform, meaning that each step has the exact same rise and run as the rest of the steps in the run. This is for safety, of course, because tripping while you're going up or down stairs is very dangerous.
We have the platform now. That's what everything else is going to attach to. That's why we have to build it first. You can see on my little story stick here that it is where it should be. And really, it's just in line with each step, as in it's just a step. It just happens to be a really big step.
It's a big step.
So there's nothing different about it, really. And so that's a good thing to keep in mind. It's going to get a tread or a top surface just like every other step will.
A finishing touch to this stair landing is to add a nailer that hangs from the landing with these scabs. It will give us a good nailing surface for the lower set of steps to attach to. Alternatively, we could have just used thicker framing members on the entire landing, but we didn't want to do that to give ourselves more headroom under the landing so it's a more usable space. Really good trick if you don't own a framing square with these locking nuts. You can make a contraption that will be able to mark your stringers in a very similar way out of scrap material, and I've done that right here for demonstration. We have the same rise that we're talking about here, 6 3/4 and a 10-inch run. I've just screwed that triangle piece of wood onto this scrap block, and now I can just use it to mark my stringers in very much the same way as you would use the framing square. If I could get a pin out of my pocket.
Good luck with that pin.
Yeah, so we're just gonna do that. Got that, and I'm gonna move it down till I cross my previous line. Move it down. And that will give us the same stringer as I got marking with this guy. Yeah, Jason said it was easier, and that might actually be easier than using the real framing square.
I mean, unless you like playing with your nuts. That'd be the
I mean, these are fun to play with.
You had gold nuts, wouldn't you too?
Yeah.
I'd probably use them too.
Our stringers are cut out of 2x12 yellow pine, and they are cut to accommodate a 3/4 inch thick permanent subtread, a 3/4 inch thick riser, as well as a 1 inch thick finished tread that will go on top of the subtread. It's very important to account for the thickness of the future finished flooring materials that will be installed on each floor as well when you're making a stringer to make sure that the first and last step have an equal rise to the rest of them. Generally speaking, that means that the top and bottom step have a different rise than the rest of the steps in the framing phase, since the finished stair treads are usually a different thickness than the flooring. Pro tip here, when you cut into these 2x12s, a lot of times one side's really in tension. And
The board could have internal stresses.
yeah, so
Yeah.
when you cut into it, say here, it starts to pinch your blade.
Yes. You know what it's like? It's like a disc brake on a car.
Yeah.
When that wood touches on both sides of the blade and squeezes it, it can stop the blade immediately.
Right, so what Jamie's done here is when he felt it trying to kind of stop it, he's backed out and put some relief cuts so that when you do the main cut, it's not binding.
Well, I noticed that my second cut, like let's just say I cut this one and I'm struggling. You can see where I struggled right there.
I see that.
And then I got to here, finally, it was a struggle. Well, I cut my second cut, it was easy because all the stress had been relieved on the first cut. So I thought, well, what if my first cut wasn't my real cut? What if my first cut was a dummy? So I cut a dummy cut, and then it's
Right there.
no stress.
Yep. Pretty smart.
That's how you take the stress out of cutting stringers.
Stair day is hard.
Yeah.
It's a lot of information. And so like to build them and make the video, it's a lot. My brain is. This is our first stringer we cut, and we've tested it with the level to make sure that, you know, each tread is level as it sits where it's supposed to be here. And we've determined that it needs to drop a little. The stairs are running downhill that way. And we've determined the reason is that our heel cut down here is a little open on the toe. So we're gonna trim that. Should drop everything down and make all the treads now level, right?
Should be good.
After a quick trim and a check, we determined that the steps were level and that the stringer fit pretty nicely. If you're wondering about our rise on this set, it's a 6 3/4 inch rise with a 10 inch run, and that ended up being about a 35-degree angle.
6 3/4.
Yep.
Yep.
6 3/4.
Now that we know our stair stringer fits properly, we're gonna trace it so that we get identical copies to make this set out of.
You're using a pin there. Would there be
Yeah.
a real reason you're doing that?
Oh yeah, you betcha. Well, this is really precise work, this stair building business, right? So if you were gonna use like a Sharpie like this, and you made a mark that was that wide, you got like an 1/8 of an inch potential to be like, which side of the line is it? Is it in the middle? You know, you could really get off by a lot by using too thick of
So
a
you're
marker.
using a very precise, narrow line.
I am. You know what would be more precise than that?
A knife.
A razor knife.
Wow, that's scary.
Now that's not very straight, but that's.
With our pattern stringer, we marked and cut 2 more identical stringers for this run. That gives us stringers at approximately 16 inches on center, just like the floor joists in the rest of the house. One tip is that we always hand pick the boards off the lumberyard that we're gonna cut the stringers out of, so we make sure to get the straightest ones possible. You ever bring your lunch to work and you need to microwave it, but then then you realize you put it in a metal Tupperware?
Dude, that's the dog's bowl.
That's lasagna too. It's ice cold.
It was mine from yesterday.
I think you had
If
lasagna
wanna-
too, didn't
if you
you?
want to clean it out,
All right,
It's up
can
to
I
you.
work on decking after lunch?
or you can eat cold lasagna. It's all up to you, bro. Use a tub of towel and clean it.
All right.
Tub of towel.
Hey, just one thing to note, this design of stairs with this big landing is not the most compact or efficient as far as not wasting space in a house, but this space under here will not be wasted totally because we're gonna have a door that comes under this set of stairs coming down, and then this whole space will be used for mechanical, like a hot water heater, and also storage. So we're gonna use all this space. And in a small house, that's something you almost have to do, is use every bit of space. One thing we like to do is attach the stringers together at the top and bottom with a board before installing them. This helps us to have a positive alignment and it assists in supporting the stair sections versus only toenailing through the ends of the stringers. Very importantly, we cut 3/4 of an inch off the runs at the top and the bottom step where we installed these boards to accommodate for the thickness of the connecting boards. Otherwise, your run would be thrown off on these two sections.
Am I supposed to be filming you or something, or what?
Just whatever.
Wait, what was that? Wait, hold on. What are you guys doing?
We have gone back and forth over the years between using a temporary tread for construction purposes versus using a permanent sub-tread like we're doing here. Having a permanent sub-tread does make it faster to install the finished tread because you don't have to remove anything, and it also gives a larger gluing surface for the finished tread. And since we will be fastening the finished tread to these sub-treads, we use Lexel to bond them to the stringers to prevent squeaks.
Here's an important framing detail on the side of our stringer. You can see right here that we use that 2x4 as a spacer, and what it does is provides a place for the drywall and the skirt board to slide in between the stringer and this wall framing so that none of those materials have to be cut out around the shape of the stringer. They can just slide in behind and keeps everybody happy.
I want to make a note that our sub-treads here are permanent, and we're going to go over top of them with 1-inch thick wood treads and risers on this part. And if you were gonna frame this for carpet, I would do it in a different way. I would use like full-on framing, like 2x12 treads, and maybe route a nosing on that so that you have the correct nosing already in the rough framing, and then you would come back and carpet around all of that later. So this is the way we do it when we're gonna use wood treads, different for carpet. This upper stair section was built in the same way as the lower section, except we let the stringers run long to a point at the bottom so they lap down across the landing framing for a strong connection there. It also took a little more manpower to get this section in place than the lower section, but I still think making a unit like we did is a better way to go. Give these stairs a proper try. Whoa. They passed the Jason test, so that means they'll pretty much withstand anything.
That's a little bouncy though.
I think you skipped the step. You got her in 7 seconds.
7?
You beat it?
I can beat that for sure, dude.
Make sure to check out the next episode where we will finish the stairwell by framing the stairwell wall and also blocking for handrails and skirt boards and other things. Make sure to check it out. We're done, but not really.
Like always, it seems like we're done, but there's more to do. But at least the subs will be glad when they come in to do wiring,
they're so happy.
plumbing. I talked to Aaron, the plumber. He said he couldn't believe that we actually built steps before he got here.
Oh,
So
you believe it.
I know he'll be
It's
glad.
done. Yeah. Well, good for him.
Yeah, I'm happy for him.
I swear it's like every 2 seconds when we're trying to film stuff, somebody starts running a saw right through what we're saying. They're like, do, firing, blocking. It's frustrating.